lights, cameras, action. Now let's engage in the dialogue. Let me browse through your mind like a catalog. Conscious metaphysics, allow me to break down the specifics. Educate, motivate. If you don't feel free, you can liberate. An LLC is what I'm building, the #1 podcast in the building. So let me slide on up in the Bentley truck in my Versace shirts. They can't get enough of this deep conversation, expansion, elevation. I'll send you a link you can tap in. It ain't quite what I used to do back then. Now I get it on the front and the back end. Multiple money streams keep coming in. Enlighten, empower, evolve. Enlighten, empower, evolve. Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. I believe everyone's doing well, and everything is always unfolding perfectly, even if it doesn't seem like it. I'm excited yet again, and you know why? Everyone knows why. I always tell you why I'm so excited, because I love engaging in exciting, high vibrational, positive dialogues with people from around the world, finding out about just extraordinary things. I learn something every time that I'm on here, and I hope you do too. But before I go any further and keep rambling on, I want to introduce my guest, Terrie Christine, who is an internationally recognized intuitive healer, psychic medium for the past 17 years. She's been seen and featured on Bravo's hit TV show, The Real Housewives of Potomac, and Hay House Radio, Good Morning Washington, and also currently airing on Love and Marriage DC. Wow, there's just so much going on. How are you doing today, Terrie Christine?
I am doing fantastic, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Yes, I am so thankful, and I'm a firm believer. And I know people, they know I'm about to say this, and those that are regular watchers, they're probably going to say this with me. I'm a firm believer that time is one of our most precious assets, if not the most precious assets, other than our health. And for you to choose to spend just a segment of your time here with me, I just want to extend my sincerest gratitude. Thank you very much for sharing a moment in time of your history here on Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Whatever I can do to help people in a profound way, even if it's in this moment right here.
Right. And you're such an inspiration. I haven't known you, but just reading your bio and the research, the little research that I did, let's just get right into it. So you're an intuitive healer and a psychic medium. Let's just start with that. How did that begin?
Well, my story goes back almost 17 years. Prior to this work, I was in a relationship with the father of my children for 14 years. And throughout that, when a person gives a lot, meaning so much so it feels like that their vessel is empty. And we were raising our kids, but I wasn't getting what I was giving in return. And over time, I became resentful, which I know many listeners can feel what it is that I'm talking about, especially when you're in a long-term relationship and children are involved. And in the end, I literally didn't want to live anymore. I felt, if this is what love is, I'm done. And I found myself, yes, it was very painful when you're in something that really isn't there, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. Just sort of going through the motions, maybe.
Exactly. And you're finding that your connection is, of course, with your children and you love them, but that partnership, that intimate, deep soul level love is usually with your partner. And I wasn't getting what I was giving, which was a mountain of unconditional love.
You know, if I may interject, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you just stirred up a lot of things inside of me, a lot of thought, especially when it comes to love and relationships. A lot of times, and this is probably from my perspective and from what just other people's perspectives that I've gotten over the course of my journey, that a lot of people don't even know that they're in an unhealthy relationship. But the thing is, you got to a point where, correct me if I'm wrong, you connected somehow with your inner self and knew that, no, doesn't feel right. This is not conducive to a way I want to feel every day. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's the vibe I'm getting. And what I'm saying is to tell other people is that make sure you listen to yourself, and you have that inner compass. And I on a previous show I called it your inner Google. So
Ah,
you have that in there. So yes, go ahead. I
yeah,
want to hear
Lud,
more.
it's really about being present. So
Right,
when you're fully present and you're feeling what most people will ignore their inner feelings. Like, they'll say, "Oh, I felt it, but I did it anyway."
right,
And when you're fully present for yourself, you'll be able to see, know, feel, believe all of those things that your heart just isn't singing. And
right,
I knew that and I felt it. However, there's that caveat of the children. I was
right.
raised with a dad that was a long haul truck driver, and he wasn't around a lot. And, I said to myself, I would never have that experience. My children will always have their father. And here I was in that same situation with an emotionally disconnected individual. And so I found myself at the end of the 14 years, really truly not wanting to live in this body. So I got out of bed and went into the bathroom and laid on the floor. I wasn't the person that could really do it to myself. And so I understand when people have suicidal ideations and feel like, and I truly understand that lowest of low. But
Right,
I was on that floor saying, "You know what, God, I'm good. You can take me. I've felt like I've got what I need, and I don't want any more of this."
right.
And then I left my body.
Mm,
And yes, I truly left my body. I found myself in a space where, I mean, my eyes were closed and I felt fully expanded. I saw stars so close I thought I could touch. I was in this space of dampness. I could feel it. I could touch it, taste it, and
wow.
fully embracing the feeling of complete.
Mm,
And then I heard three words very loud all around me. I couldn't even put my finger where it was coming from. Three words: love will come. And
wow.
it took me to the space where that lift up. So I was already at the lowest vibrational place I could be.
Right,
Self-destructive, let me go, to a lifting up of going, there's hope. And within that space, I literally flung myself, all that energy back into my body. And I'm like, what just happened? And I got up off the floor and went back to bed. And I woke up the next morning and my entire life was changed.
changed.
Now, in the sense where people could say, what? He was acting differently? No, it was all within me. The
Yes,
feeling of hope, the feeling that
absolutely.
I could have that, to receive that, the feeling of knowing that child curiosity, where is it coming from? And I
Yes,
literally went to the bookstore and bought a shopping cart full of books. Now, for some people, they think, "Oh, well, I read all the time." Mm-mm-mm-mm. I was the one who took care of the kids, had a full-time job, took care of him, made the dinners, cleaned the house. I did all of that. So I was literally the caregiver for myself and three others, including the house. I did not have time to read, go to yoga. I didn't even know what yoga was. This was not my world as it is today. And when I started reading authors, Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, I mean, these very profound law of attraction authors, I'm like, what is this world? And
right.
yes, I mean,
Yes.
literally transformed into that.
If I
Yes.
might interject again, because you're exciting me right now, and the reason why I'm extra smiling right now is because I never get tired of hearing this narrative of hitting that low and then that transformation happened. And that's exactly what happened to me back in 2016, that I went through something with my ex-wife and my kids, not being able to see them. And I just felt such in a dark place. Like I'm a failure. And I'm still working through that now, but I got to the point where I didn't know what to do. And like you said, to to speed it up a bit, the problems, the questions are in here and the answers are in here. And I did the exact same thing. I started looking on the internet, trying to find answers. You should see my book collection now. And they do have like Louise. I have a few books by Louise Hay. I love Louise Hay. I love listening to her segments still to this day. She transitioned a few years ago, and I actually shed tears that day. You can ask my wife. I did, because I had this thing in my mind that I was going to meet her. So, and I love listening to her positive affirmations and her storytelling. You can listen to them on YouTube in her own voice. Yeah, narrating her books and things like that, and listening to Bob Proctor and Napoleon Hill and, like you said, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. That the other one I have, what is it? Against the Devil
Day, or there's a new day or whatever. I can't remember.
Yeah, that one, and then it's something Outwitting the Devil. Yeah, he has that too. Yeah, that one's good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's by Eckhart Tolle and Wayne Dyer. Love Wayne Dyer. Just So that's why I was smiling, because that's exactly what happened. I hit this lowest vibration that I've ever been in, and then I was guided, to the right information, and then things just start unfolding. But go ahead, I want to hear more.
So in that space, I realized, starting to read those and then getting what the spiritual people call a download, and feeling like some things or somebody or some being was trying to communicate. And then people started coming to me and giving me messages that I didn't even know at grocery stores. I mean, literally, it happened in that sequence and in a longer period of time, because you go from somebody completely corporate to now, what is this all about? The curiosity of a cat or a child that runs into it and wanting more and wanting more. But realizing in the end, it really was about me and I work in the subconscious. So as an intuitive energy healer, I specialize with the limiting beliefs in the subconscious. So for me, it was the childhood upbringing, right? And the intuitive part of what I do is I'm not talk therapy. So, the intuitive, I'll pick up if it's a mom block or a dad block. There's 5 ways to pick up limiting beliefs. So it's God, someone else, and something else. So, and then the mom and dad are caregivers also. And it doesn't mean that, you might not have had a mom or a dad in your life, biological. You have grandparents. So those are your caregivers as well. But it doesn't mean that any of them are emotionally or physically abusive. It just simply means in that time and space, as a child, we see things for the first time, and then we own what we as a child are determining that is. So you could say, oh, I'm not good enough because mom forgot, or dad didn't pick me up at school, or I ended up waiting. And then we own it as a child. And then it becomes a blueprint or like a thread woven into your subconscious. And then as an adult, people, places, and things will trigger you. And so for me, people come to me, all ages, all national, all everything, and they're stuck because they can't see what I can as an intuitive. And so I'll bring up their past in the subconscious, then I'll bring it to the present on why they're stuck, and then I can shift it from the subconscious. Yes, I can do that so that they feel like life is supporting them. The things that you label coincidence, there aren't any coincidences.
Serendipitous. Yes, right? That's right. So that's like, it's not a coincidence that we're speaking today.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
Exactly. So, and then people feel more supported by all that is. They feel that it doesn't bother them as much. And then they know that they're not in stuck, or that they're getting and moving toward what they want in a quicker pace versus trying to figure it out, or others saying, I can do it. And 10 years later, they're still reading books where I get from A to Z in a very short period of time.
Wow, that's amazing. And the subconscious mind, if I may elaborate, is very powerful. And I didn't even know the word subconscious mind up until maybe 5 or 6 years ago, really. I didn't know I had this part of my mind that records when I'm not paying attention, that I'm not aware of. Didn't know anything about programming or anything like that. And one of my favorite books is by an author by the name of Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I love that book. Yes, it's an amazing book on the mind. And you've also authored a book with Don Miguel Ruiz.
Here it is, right?
Yes, see, I told you.
Yes.
What's the name of that book again?
The Secret Power of You. Yes.
And you authored that book with Don Miguel?
So no, I wrote the book.
Oh, okay.
And he endorsed my book.
Endorsed your book.
Yes.
Can we see it again?
I'm a master manifester.
Oh, the secret power of you. Okay. And that's available where?
On Amazon and my website.
Okay.
And my website is Terrie Christine, which is my name, Terrie Christine.
TerrieChristine.com.
Yes.
Amazing.
So yes, that's a very interesting experience about meeting Don Miguel. He wrote the 4 agreements, as we know. So
yes,
I'm a master manifestor. I always, everybody I think does.
Yes, everybody that's working on themselves or wanting to. Everybody does.
Exactly. So I was meditating and heard in my meditation that I would write a book that was similar to Don Miguel Ruiz. And I'm like, what? Those are big shoes. And then I ended up in a mastermind, how to learn to write a book, speak from stages, and then media. And so what ended up happening, we're halfway through the mastermind. We were meeting every 3 months. We met in LA, and the main, organizer said, I have a surprise for you, Terrie, because I had said, he had written, the organizer had written several books from Hay House, and he knew that I wanted to write a book that was published through Hay House. And a few minutes into us doing our little thing, in walks Don Miguel. And I'm like, what?
And where was this again?
This was through a mastermind that I was participating in that was teaching us how to write our book, because it was at the very beginning of me. And I knew I was going to write a book.
It was teaching you how to structure your book.
To structure it, to sell from stages, and also, get ourselves on media. So platform of radio, TV, and, what I've accomplished.
Yes, exactly. It started here, and that's where it starts. And this is the most powerful generator there is. And whatever you have in here, and really, you already know.
Exactly. So I want to actually pause right there, because what you said is, yes, very profound. Our mind can create most amazing things as a master manifester. However, when you are rotating in the same stories that you cannot get out of, then you're living in the lack, especially when you're focusing on what you don't have. Simply goes into, you're just creating what you don't have. Then when you're telling the stories of your childhood over and over, and why can't this family member do this or that coworker do that? And you're only rotating into that story like I call it the hamster wheel from hell. You're constantly rotating, and you're not getting out of the vicious cycle.
Going through that same narrative day in and day out, and wondering why. Well, because you keep giving it energy and saying and talking about it and thinking about it, and that's what you're drawing. Exactly. Amazing.
So that's why when we're saying, oh, this brain of ours or this mind can really manifest things, well, the reality is it can also a lot of the times keep us from what we're doing or what we want or what we want to accomplish or succeed into. And so the best the best part is that, I mention meditation to quite often on these shows and to all of my clients, and then they blink, blink, blink and look at me. I've tried it and it doesn't work. Hello, it does.
No, it does.
Because you haven't mastered how to do it. There aren't any really solid books out there. I spent 3 months figuring out the whole process of how to meditate and create that which you're fully connected to. And it is a stepped process, not just going, ooh, I'm clearing my mind.
Now, do you lay out some of these steps in your book?
Actually, no, because it is so, it can, not in the book, but if you're my client,
your next book. Okay. Yeah, no, we get it. Yes.
Yeah, it's very important.
Your expertise. And that's, I encourage anyone that's watching now, that is interested and just wants to learn to meditate right and set the right intentions and to seek you out, to seek Terrie out.
Yeah, because I do.
Ask her some questions.
Yes, I do face to face, and I also do remote work. Like I just worked on a woman who is in India. There is no time and space with energy. I have clients all over the world. I've been in practice for 17 years. But talking about the book, there are simple yet profound techniques in here: how to see your limiting beliefs, how to shift from it, how to go from accepting where you are if it's negative and shifting it into the positive. There is positive in everything.
Everything.
And once you acknowledge, you don't have to push away the fact that you're feeling angry or frustrated. You acknowledge that you're in that place. You acknowledge that you have the right to feel that way, but you also have to make sure you're not living on the hamster wheel from hell and continuing to live that way by shifting and saying, you know what? I am not the person that I was triggered into thinking I am. I am the person who I am, and I am good enough.
Yes, yes, that's empowering right there.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. So I also want to ask you, and not to keep jumping around, but we have such
No,
a
I
short
love
amount
it.
of time, and I want to
Yes.
touch on some things about you being a television star as well. Now, how did you get into acting, and what shows have you been on, and are you going to be on? Can you touch a little bit about on that too? A little bit
Oh,
about
Lute,
that.
I love you, dude. I love you. This is awesome. So, I'm a master manifestor. I said that and I live it and I breathe it. And
Right.
so there's this line that I say, what will it take? WWIT. What will it take? When I want to create something, I go into a meditation. Before I go into deep meditation, I say, what will it take? Now, I've been doing meditation for as long as I've been in practice, so I can visualize and create. But
Right.
what I did, it took me a year, and I was on an episode of Real Housewives of Potomac. But from the moment I decided, what will it take for me to be on TV? What will it take for me to be seen, heard, and be believed that I am on TV? And what happened is I was actually practicing out of a wellness center. And I'm going to make this very short, but I walked in, nobody was at the desk. And I'm a team player. I always, help everyone. Nobody was there. The phone was ringing. I answered it, and they said, this is Bravo. No joke. It was like that. They were looking for the owner. I took a message. A month later, I came in, and no one really told me what was going on. I just took the message and handed it to the owner. I came in, there was a lot of chaos and movement. I said, what's going on? They said, oh, the Real Housewives are coming in. I'm like, okay. I was told to stand in the corner, just let them tell me what to do. Next thing I knew, I'm being called from down the hall by the producers and the camera crew.
Of course
They
you were.
hooked up the mic and said, let's get rolling.
Of course you.
Literally was like that.
Yep.
And now, moving it forward, I decided, okay, it was right before COVID that happened. So we got through COVID, and here we are. And I said, okay, it's time to do it again. What will it take? And I notched it up to be seen larger, bigger, stronger, bolder, right? It took 3 months. I started meditating. I started asking, what will it take? I started visualizing, because now I had the experience. It took a year the first time because I had to create the vision. So it took a step-by-step process. But doing it the second time, I just saw cameras. I saw people around me. I saw clients lining up to see me. I saw success and clapping. It took 3 months. And what happened is that a woman comes in and said, oh, she was new. And the first thing I always ask is, how did you hear about me? She says, oh, I Googled you and you're local. Great. Well, let me tell you about me. I was on Real Housewives of Potomac. She says, so was I. I'm like, really? And who are you? And so we were back and forth talking. I was actually on the show when she was on the show for 4 years. It was Monique Samuels.
Wow.
And Monique started working with me for several months. And then prior to being on Love and Marriage DC, she got the contract to be a main cast member and said, Terrie, now we had already been working together before she got the contract. And she said, I want to give the producers your name. They called me, and voila, I was on several episodes on season 1. And when you continue to watch season 2, you'll see what happens next. But that's exactly what happened.
And you're also on OWN too, right? On Oprah's network.
which is Love and Marriage
Oh,
DC,
that's
which
on
is
OWN.
airing
Okay.
on Oprah Winfrey Network.
And
So
the other one
that's
was
how I'm
on
on there. On
Bravo.
Bravo.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes,
I
yes.
can't keep up with all, all these networks that you're on, hey, I don't know how to talk
And
the big Hollywood talk.
well, I'm manifesting to be on my own, if not a main cast member, because I was a special guest multiple times. But what you're going to see is what I do naturally. And that's really, if anyone knows or is familiar with reality TV, it is not scripted. It isn't.
No.
When they have the cameras, they turn on the lights and they say, okay, it's Terrie time. And I did what I do naturally. I pick up the limiting beliefs in the subconscious. I worked with each couple when we were in the room, and I told them what was going on right there, right then, because I had no idea. The only ones I knew were Chris and Monique. The other couples, I had no idea. I'd never seen them before, didn't know their names until they walked in and we started filming. So, when you're living in the space of trusting 100%, connecting to everyone connected collectively and energetically, right, and seeking the truth, because I am the seeker of the truth, which is
right.
empowers you to live in your truth.
Wow. Amazing, Terrie. And what's even more amazing about what you do is that, like, you're a representative of yourself. And you'll see where I'm going with this. I'm gonna make sure I articulate this right. But it's easy to tell someone, hey, I can help you do this, but to have gone through it yourself, and you're actually showing this through your own life experiences, it's amazing. So it's like, hey, why should I trust you? Because I'm making it happen. Then I can show you how to make this happen too. So what more powerful testimony is, an advocate, for what you do than yourself. You're not just someone that just, I'm not putting down, education or whatever, or just someone that has read something and then now they specialize in that. But it just adds a little extra something when you have, you're actually the person that's going through it. Like
Yes.
the old commercial, I'm not only something, I'm a client, so you're a client of yourself, and it's working.
Absolutely.
That's where I was
Absolutely.
trying to get to. I know I took the long road to explain that, but you're the advocate, the client, that's showing that this does work, and this is real. This is not some hocus pocus nonsense. This is real. Your mind is scientific, what we think, and and it's amazing. You're
Absolutely.
manifesting what you want. And I think everyone desires that, to be able to manifest in their life what they desire. Now, I don't know what everybody desires. Everybody desires different
Yes.
things, but I would hope that I'm correct to say everyone wants to, manifest great health and happiness and love and,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and success, whatever your idea of success is. And that's just amazing that you're just.
Absolutely. So, and Lute, and I'm going to ask you about that name, but just one more that, it just really comes down to, yes, people can say that they want that, but they
Right.
have to believe that they want that. And then there's going to be that childhood, well, you worked hard, but dad made a mistake, and then all the money was taken away. And so that is created a limiting belief. Or dad made a decision and a mom left the family unit, so now they're afraid to make decisions. So it's all of that childhood, but you can say all you want. That's why people come to me, all you want, I love myself, I want that, but I can't get that. And then the reason is that the intuitive part of what I do is go into that subconscious, the layering of their blueprint, and tell them why they can't get that, because it's their subconscious that's ruling and running their world. And then it's the conscious that's saying, I want it. The subconscious is saying, you're not going to get it because of. And so once it's cleared and shifted, then it's easier to manifest and create. Look, I know I've had that situation with my former partner, and I'm still living. I'm still the onion like all of you. I can be triggered. I know that I've spent years and years of working on myself, and I continue to. We are not the end of end all be all. We are all going to continue to expand and grow. That is our purpose, to be on this planet. And there's going to be
Absolutely.
something that you're going to be triggered by something. I just recently had a trigger. And I had to acknowledge that I was severely angry. I had to acknowledge that I had a right to be angry. And then it took about 2 days, and I realized, you know what? I was triggered into thinking of who I was not.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then realizing that I know who I am, and I am good enough. And you're going
Exactly.
to hear me say good enough, because that's where we think, oh, but dad did this and mom did that, and the end result was this and all that.
Right.
And then it takes away from depleting, devaluing, whatever we want to add after that.
Right.
But we have to understand that it is all safe, right, and good to make decisions no matter what. But you have to feel into it. Don't think it out. Thinking it out gets you in trouble. Feeling into it is the truth. The truth always makes sense. So if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Here's an example. There's certain size pills that I can't take. And the doctor went from one size to another size. And I'm like, oh, and I looked at it. Well, as soon as I looked at it, I said, oh, I've experienced this too big. Well, here I convinced myself it's a fear of, I got to get through it. But I've already had the physical challenge of not being able to swallow something that's pretty big. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I did it. What happened? Get stuck in my throat. So then, now remember, I live in the space of complete trust,
Right.
trusting 100%. So first off, I trusted that I couldn't do it. And I thought, oh, I'll just work through it. The fear of, no, if I physically can't do it, I should have accepted that. But I thought,
Right.
okay, it's the fear. Nope, get stuck. What was stuck before I cut off the breathing part, but I'm trying to swallow, couldn't get it down. In my head, I heard Heimlich. I said, oh no, this is going to get worse. So I calmed down, but I'm still stuck. I walked outside. So I had to come out downstairs, walk outside. It was 10 p.m. Everyone in my neighborhood are older. Everyone's always asleep. Let me tell you, as soon as I open my door, I live in townhouse, my one to my right, who's always asleep by 9 p.m., all their lights were on and their door was open.
Open.
That
Right.
in itself, and I ran over, I'm banging on the door, pointing at my throat, get the Heimlich, and I'm like, oh my
Comes
God.
out. Yeah.
Yes. So in
Amazing.
that case, trusting, however, keep in mind that if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't mean I have to trust to work through it. You have to trust that if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. So there's a yes, a no, and a maybe. Don't ever discount the maybe, but the yes and no. And for me, it was a no. But I felt like, oh, it's a fear of, and I convinced myself it was something else. So those are the things that you have to be careful for, meaning just move into it. If your physical body can't do it, okay, that's a no, then adjust it, cut it in half, or do, in that sense, it
Right.
was a medication or something else, instead of trying to convince yourself it was something else. So you see,
Right.
I still experience those things. However, I trust them, always loved and supported. And that night, that evening, that time, my neighbors were wide awake and helped me.
Wow. Absolutely. That's an amazing story. And thank you for sharing. We're coming up to about a minute and a half left. So I want to make sure um, before we conclude this, how can people find you?
Oh, thank you. So I am pretty much on all of social media. You can find me on TikTok with my videos. I'm doing readings, actually. You can read through pictures. There's blueprints in the picture. So I'm doing that on TikTok. You can find me on IG on YouTube. There's lots of videos there to help yourself. I have a website, which is my name, terriechristine.com. I am on Facebook. I'm pretty active on all of it, and Love and Marriage DC, which is airing on the Oprah Winfrey Network. So before we go,
Amazing.
Lute, where did you get that name, my friend? Because I love it. That's like a treasure trove.
Yes, I hope it doesn't cut off before I can tell you, but yeah, I got it as a child. I used to, when I was a kid, I had a lot of different jobs. So then people start calling me Loot, like, and equating it with money, that I'm always working hard. Basically,
Oh,
simple as that. And I
to
just
me,
kept it.
it's like a treasure box.
Yeah, I just kept it.
I
Yes.
love it.
So that's it. Nothing
I love
extravagant.
it. No, it is. I love it.
Yeah, yes. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. Hit that like, subscribe button wherever you're listening or watching. Thank you very much. Thank you, Terrie. I appreciate you very much. See you
Thank you.
soon. Love
Ta-ta
and
for now.
appreciation to everyone.